Guys and gals, welcome to the 144th episode of The Green Room. The Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament is still in its infancy because round number one is still here, guys and gals. We still have one more month and a half to go before round number one comes to a close. Some of these matchups have been semifinal worthy. Some of these matchups have been worthy of the finals. Guys and gals, tonight, that intro set the tone. I don't hear one singular groan or moan. Even King Richard would rise from his throne. Welcome to the Grand Celebrity Debate Tournament, round number one, night number 13. The competitors tonight are absolute legends. Their body of work pumps us up. No need for caffeine. And all of you, sit back. All you have to do is watch it go down live. So go devour a beat, or perhaps some meat. In the mood for a treat? How about two of the greatest as they feast their eyes on the prize? They're smoother than my ex-Diana's guacamole. They're experienced, talented, and wiser than a fat Italian mobster eating a cannoli. In this tournament, most grand, a whopping 13,000 is on the line, plus a trip for two to Greece. But these battles have been most fierce as expected. Don't expect tranquility or peace. Debating is a sport, and in this star-studded field, only the best have been invited to compete. Tonight, two will stand tall and advance to round two, while the other will live with defeat. Over 10 plus Hall of Famers, award winners, champions, legends, up-and-comers, luminaries have their sights set on the crown. Already, the sheer excitement from this tournament has been widespread, bigger than the circus coming to town. The topics range from hard-hitting to thought-provoking, while you, our engine, votes live. Each competitor has done their research. They speak from the heart and mind. They don't give us no jive. I just hit you with a double negative, but here's the positive. Tonight's epic matchup is set to begin right now. And if you've forgotten, go to our network page and check out our 60-plus shows. You'll be sure to go, wow. These rhymes will cease in a moment. I wouldn't want you to become unruly. 60-plus shows per month, which include a bevy of top-tier talent and legends co-hosting their shows, are worth watching truly. With that, guys and gals, with that, our competitors that here in the back are ready to make some noise. Make some noise as our first competitor is about to enter the fray. His passion is second to none. There's no way anyone can keep him at bay. Many fell at his hands as he took his teams to the pinnacle while becoming an all-time great. In 1975, his team was counted out only to sweep their opposition. The champions that year, the Warriors of Golden State. The man has broken records and has excelled in everything that he has pursued. If you stood in his way or told him no, hate to break it to you, but you were screwed. Awards, Hall of Fame, broadcasting, public speaking, coaching, and perhaps the kind, guys and gals, the kind of tournament that this man is going to win. The king, perhaps, of this tournament. Step one will be coming out victorious tonight, although one victory won't make him content. Will his opponents tonight recoil in fear? Will they never see what hit them as they become ill and sick? Let's find out as I welcome a supremely gifted and wonderful human being. Last name Barry, first name Rick. Rick Barry.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you cash the check I paid you to do that intro?
Yeah, I got that actually.
Okay.
How are you doing, my friend? All about the pride and the prize. The time for talk is over. Myself, Jim McMahon, and Rick Barry, Hall of Fame Hangout. That's on the network. Gym Time, that's on the network. We all had a little session where we spoke about this match. It's here tonight, July 1st. As you can see in the comment sections, the fans, they're clamoring for this matchup. Rick, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm a little depressed because my team in the Big Three, we lost our game today, a tight one by 2 points. So that was tough. I hate losing. So hopefully I'll come away victorious this evening.
You've told me many times, we speak a lot off the broadcast. Winning this thing will be important for you. Of course, people know about the 13,000, the trip for 2 to Greece, but it's about the pride, isn't it, Rick? The pride of winning this whole star-studded tournament. That means a lot, doesn't it?
Well, just like in sports, I'm sure Jim would say the same thing. You don't play for individual awards. You play for team championships. You play about winning. I mean, second place doesn't really make it if you're a competitor.
I like that, guys. I like that. Rick Barry, guys and gals, is as ready as anybody. Again, Rick Barry's here. Everyone's shouting him out. Why not? Of course, one of the all-time greats and a great human being as well. But, there are 3 individuals here. Remember, guys, in this triple threat matchup, 2 will advance. In case you needed to have a refresher or reminder of how Rick Barry qualified to get into this very, very tournament, guys, take a look at this. This is Rick Barry in the qualifying round against Dakin Matthews.
To
of all, greatness is a matter of individual opinion. So what's great for one person may not be great for somebody else. Kramer, off the charts. Elaine, Newman. It's just the way that they interact. Stars that had shows that everybody talked about on that episode. I just hope that the educational process can change some and get people to do a lot more reading, because the characters, even Jerry, it's a show about nothing. You can see some of the smirks, some of the reactions that he has to it. And then I saw the last episode and they were all there in the courtroom. And I think it's individual, though. You have to want to be as good as you can be.
Rick Barry and Dakin Matthews. Dakin's in this first round as well. You guys tied things up. And I want to let our viewers know something, Rick. We guys are on the YouTube channel right now, our new network YouTube channel, the Facebook business page, but also on 51 other pages. The admins, I recorded something special. All those admins, guys and gals, we started with a big donut. 7-figure views when you count all of our views, not just on my page, 51 plus. That's what we're doing. Rocking the house because of you. You're the engine that makes this thing go. And as you guys know, the new network, all you got to do is type in www.theknewnetwork.com. That is www.theknewnetwork.com. Who knew? We knew, and so do you. I'm pumped up for this match, Rick. I'm glad I'm not voting. Wow. Guys and gals, NBA madness, real talk. Everyone is so excited about this. Let's bring in one of Rick's competitors, guys. The next competitor in this field is a man that is considered an underdog. That much is a fact. Yet he brings a certain quality about him. He's insightful, intelligent, and has tact. I teased him and played The End Is Near by Frankie Blue Eyes, because elimination may in fact be imminent indeed. Will he rise to the occasion, or will he become persona non grata, like a sparring partner of one Apollo Creed? He's chomping at the bit back there. He's ready to climb this hill. Let's welcome an unorthodox biker. Last name Donahue, first name Phil, likes to be called Justin. Hello, Justin.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
You're sitting next to greatness, Justin. You're sitting next to greatness, just so you know.
I can't deny it. Won't help him in this, but what a career. Mr. Barry, it's a pleasure to see you.
Justin, please call me Rick. I'm probably older than you.
I don't know about that.
I think, Justin, you met Rick Barry a while back, didn't you?
Yes, 1972, you were the keynote speaker at my high school awards dinner.
Really?
Called the Doc M Awards at Mount St. Michael Academy in the Bronx.
Nice. Well, that's good. Well, obviously, I am older than you.
That would prove it, yes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, listen, at the end of the day, Justin, you got your hands full, because Rick Barry's not the only individual you'll be facing. Yet another very qualified legend. Guys, that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing Rick Barry. You're seeing Jim McMahon. You're seeing all of these luminaries. Everyone, Oscar winners, Hall of Famers, competing here virtually. You're watching this for free. Where else are you going to get this? Hard-hitting topics as well. Let your friends know. Let your foes know. Because guess what? They won't be foes anymore. Knock on their door. Even if your neighbor gives you a hard time or is a pain in the butt, tell them to watch this show. You guys will make up. You'll get some cool Christmas gifts out of it. Why not? Or Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate. Our third competitor in this triple threat match, much like Rick, is a bona fide legend and one of the best. He stares his competition down. He faces each challenge, and he welcomes this quest. A champion and one of the greatest quarterbacks this planet has ever seen. He's a humble and kind human being, but has no problem being mean. Will he advance to round 2 tonight, an inch closer to the finish line? We are in anticipation of his arrival. You, and yes, you, yours truly as well, Aviklein. So put your hands together for a man that is as talented and smart as he is ready. He might just give his opponents nightmares that rival even that of Freddy. Indeed, his opponents are ready for battle. They are ready for him. So let's welcome one of the greatest and a friend. Last name McMahon. First name Jim. Jim McMahon, welcome, my friend.
Hey, good evening, guys. Another great intro there, Robbie. You get me
I
every
appreciate
time.
that, Jim. I don't believe you met Justin yet. First time you're meeting Justin here on screen,
Justin,
one of your fellow competitors.
How you doing?
Jim, I'm gonna play a couple of moments here, guys and gals. This is Justin's qualifying match. A little clip for all of the new viewers. This is how Justin got here. Let's take a look at this. It's about a 30-second clip. And then Jim McMahon's, guys, his greatest moment in the qualifying matchup against JBL. JBL qualified as well along with Jim. There are no more ties in this first round, so you can't tie anymore. JBL is also in round number 2. These are some of Phil Justin's buzzworthy moments in his qualifying matchup.
However, a lot of what you said isn't what I would consider chivalry. The Harley Davidson get Cuban refugees who escaped from Castro to go back, captures the mystique. He was trying to, a lot of the things she was talking about was simple respect and the aura respect for each other that is Americana. The Ramones, first of all, were one of the original punk bands. Steppenwolf is something that is certainly missing in our society today. But the Ramones, they spoke to a generation.
That's how Phil got here, guys and gals. And, of course, Jim McMahon had quite the matchup with Mr. John Layfield as well. Guys, take a look at Jim McMahon's buzz-worthy moments.
One of the most dynamic defenses that's ever been on the field. Clint Eastwood, I'll tell you what, he's been a star, Western star for 60 years. You know, we scored the second most points in the entire league that year. He's just got that tough guy persona. Randy Moss came into this league, with a lot of hype. He has just unbelievable speed. I thought Willie Gault was fast, and he's probably one of the toughest. But to see Randy Moss run, I mean, I'd like to see those two in a race for sure. Movie stars that has ever been an actor. He's still in his 90s. He's still acting. Your Western guys got to be tough.
Jim McMahon, guys, indeed. You're looking at two Hall of Fame athletes. Of course, a veteran of the motorcycle, Mr. Justin. And, guys, also amazing debaters. That's who they are. That's who they're going to be. Two advance. One will be eliminated. Let's remind ourselves of that, guys. In this matchup tonight, after it's all said and done, there will be three topics. The most points allotted to one individual will be the one who advances. And the second most points, of course, that is allotted to the second individual will advance as well. That means the top two vote getters will move on to round number one. The third will be eliminated and gone. No more lifelines, nothing like that, guys and gals. Of course, now you know how they got here. They all earned their keep. They're here to go. And, guys, just remember something. Your votes count. There are two wildcard voters tonight in the comment section. We do that every week to give you guys the power. You guys are what makes this thing go. So, Victor Santiago, your votes are worth 3 points tonight. And Jaleesa Bailey, your points are worth 3. Our judges in the back, their points are worth 3 as well. Everyone else commenting, 1 point per vote. And remember, we'll give you guys a chance every week to become wildcard voters. So let's have some fun. And, guys, before I continue, I got to ask Jim this question as well. Jim, I asked Rick. Pride in the prize, $13,000, a trip for 2 to Greece. But for you, it's about the pride, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I'd love to be able to say I beat all these guys in a debate because I'm not a debater. I really don't like the bullshit. Can you say that?
You could say that. You could say that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to just sit around and BS. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to go back to Greece. I've been there twice and got some good friends there, so it'd be an awesome trip.
My question to you is this. You and Rick, of course, we know you're friends. When it comes to this arena, you've told me this before as well, Jim. There are no friends right now. Right now, you're here to win this entire thing.
Yeah, I don't even know Rick anymore.
There's no Rick Barry, guys. Rick Barry.
Justin, too. So let's get on with this thing.
Let's get on with this thing, guys. These guys want to win. Again, the conversations off this broadcast have been hot and heavy. These are competitors. You're looking at them. Guys, our first topic, let me read this right now. Our first topic, biggest sports scandals. Regardless of how we might think of ourselves individually, it's a proven fact that people as a whole are drawn to dramatic events. There are entire genres of literature based on dramatic stories. We create movies about them. Heck, as terrible as soap operas are, they still draw loyal fans who can't wait for the next series of twists and turns. It shouldn't come as a surprise, then, that the world of sports encompasses its own drama. After all, the athletes and the people involved are humans just the same. And when it comes to sports, many of the dramas involve what happened during the sporting events themselves, but even more often, what happens in between the events. So, guys, first topic is sports scandals. Justin will go first. Jim McMahon will go second. Rick Barry will go third. Let me read you the topics. Guys, Phil Justin is going to make a case for why the 1919 Chicago White Sox scandal was the biggest sports scandal of all time. Once he is finished, Jim McMahon will make a case for the 86 SMU college football death penalty as the biggest sports scandal of all time. And once Jim is finished, Rick will make a case for the college basketball point-shaving scandal as the biggest sports scandal of all time. Rick and Jim and Justin, please, I remind you of this. Rebuttals. When someone is speaking and you want to rebut them, and that's very advantageous as well. We've seen that a lot of rebuttals help someone or propel them to the top and advance. If you have a rebuttal, raise your index finger while someone is speaking. I will jump in and I will allow you to rebut. the individual, it will then go back to the original speaker. So you can rebut somebody while they're speaking simply by lifting your index finger up. Guys and gals, you will have 10 minutes. I'm telling all our viewers this as well. Guys and gals, Rick, Jim, and Justin will have 10 minutes for this opening topic to make their points. If the countdown clock appears and they're still making their points, once the clock hits 0, there will be no hero. You'll be disqualified. So, guys, 10 minutes is what we have here. Justin, you will be the one going first. Remember, we will not be talking to anyone off screen. We'll be looking right at one another. Justin, are you ready to go?
Let's hit it.
In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Thank you. Scandals, unfortunately, over the last couple of decades, have become more a way of life. You hear a scandal, you kind of just shrug it off. But if we go back in time, 1919 was an age of innocence. World War I was behind us. America was generally prosperous and doing well. And baseball ruled the day. America's sport. Baseball and apple pie. The perfect combination. All of a sudden, this scandal arose with the 1919 Chicago White Sox. It was so heinous, they were known as the Black Sox. Going to the World Series, a gambler by the name of Sport Sullivan approached one of the Chicago White Sox, Chick Gandil, and proposed to him that if he and some of the other players would throw the games and lose intentionally the World Series, they would each get $100,000. That in 1919. That was huge money. Quite frankly, today that's pretty good too. But understand, 1919, they were going to get $100,000 each to blow the series. They went on with it. There were a total of 8 that were involved. One was sort of an afterthought. He was a utility infielder, just happened to overhear a conversation in the locker room about this thing going on. And the others had no choice but to include him in. After Game 5, however, these players were quite disgruntled. They hadn't been paid. According to the original deal, they would get $20,000 for each loss. After Game 5, they hadn't seen a penny, so they backed out. They decided, we're going to go ahead and try and win this game. They lost anyway. Does not take away from the enormous impact that scandal had. Now, at first, baseball tried to sort of gloss over it, not really do anything, but there were several journalists, reporters that kept digging and digging and digging, and eventually, about a year after the season, a grand jury was convened and charges were filed against these 8 baseball players. They wound up being acquitted because all the documents, including confessions, suddenly disappeared. Oops. Now, they couldn't prove it, but it's widely thought that certain gangsters got involved and suddenly these documents all disappeared. So they were acquitted. Now, back then, it was pretty widely known that there was some shenanigans going on. Big-time gamblers, the big, heavy rollers, would give money to certain players. Maybe they were disgruntled. Maybe they felt they were underpaid, whatever the case was. They would take money and give these gamblers inside information, tips, and they would be able to use that information to bet on the games. But this, to throw a World Series, was so enormous. Now, even though they were acquitted, maybe a year or so after the trials, the commissioner of baseball banned these 8 men for life from baseball. So there went some very highly anticipated careers. These guys were shamed, just tossed aside. They probably deserved it, but that's how it goes. So this scandal happened. Again, it was during a time where scandals really didn't happen, especially in our pride in our baseball, but it did happen. Now, there was a player on the White Sox people probably know by name, Shoeless Joe Jackson. He was approached by these gamblers and other miscreants, but he refused to participate. Man of character. All in all, the 1919 White Sox were the biggest scandal in sports history. They even made a movie about it, 8 Men Out. Good movie, you should check it out. Definitely. The 1919 White Sox destroyed the very fabric of our life by doing this scandal. There it is.
With 4 minutes left, guys and gals, Justin finishes up. No, you have up to 10 minutes. You can finish earlier. That's not a problem.
That's not what I had to say.
All right. A lot of the viewers are receptive to this, guys. Now we're going to turn it over to Mr. Jim McMahon, who will make a case for the 1986 SMU college football death penalty as the biggest sports scandal of all time. Are you ready, Jim?
Yes, sir.
In a 3, in a 2,
actually,
in a...
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
On February 25th, 1987 is when the death penalty was handed down. But you're going to have to go back in history like Justin just did. You know, SMU is just a small community, small college in Dallas, about 6,000 students back then. Just kind of the run-of-the-mill Southwest Conference team at the time. And then they hired a guy by the name of Ron Meyer, young, flashy, cocky guy. And he was a player's coach. And he was under a lot of pressure then, because back then, the Dallas Cowboys were America's team. The Texas Longhorns were always good. Texas A&M was doing well as also. And Meyer was compared a lot to J.R. Ewing. And a lot like Ewing, Meyer could be ruthless, especially when he pursued recruits. One of his biggest recruits he was after was Eric Dickerson, NFLhalloffame. And in fact, Eric Dickerson had committed to another university, committed to Texas A&M, and got a gold Trans Am out of it. So how that all came about, we really don't know. But he got Dickerson to change, and then SMU became a powerhouse in the Southwestern Conference. But with that success also comes a lot of scrutiny. And so, a lot of different teams are doing the same thing in the conference as well as around the country. But they didn't have all the eyes on them like SMU had at the time. And then Coach Bobby Collins was hired in 1982, and they went undefeated. Nothing really happened because the first round of penalties came down in 1985, banning the SMU from bowl games for 2 seasons, also stripping them of 45 scholarships over 2 years. These were considered some of the harshest sanctions in NCAA history. Bill Clements, chairman of the board of governors from SMU, hung a group of boosters out to dry. They dubbed them the Naughty Nine. And he blamed them for all their infractions and the university's sullied reputation. The NCAA then convened a meeting to discuss harsher penalties, but few believed that they would ever be used. I'm sorry. But instead, one of the players that was getting paid went on a television interview. David Stanley, I believe it is. Went on television and told of all the improper benefits he was receiving. And that alone probably didn't do it. But then there was another interview with Coach Collins, the athletic director, Bob Hitch, and the recruiting coordinator, Henry Lee Parker, and that sealed their fate. The NCAA continued gathering evidence. And then, oh man, I can't even read my own writing. It wasn't until 1987 that they were going to get passed on the death penalty. So for all intents and purposes, the SMU football was dead. They went from undefeated in 1982 to practically unknown in 1987. Few can deny the NCAA for putting the death penalty on SMU. They probably deserved it, as well as a lot of other teams. But no one in Division I has been sanctioned with that since. Over the last 2 decades, the conversation about SMU's fall from grace has changed even more. Many are wondering whether or not there should be penalties for players at all because of all the money that they generate for their colleges. And a lot has changed since Ron Meyer, who walked into high schools and pinned his business card with a $100 bill behind it. You know, he wasn't the only one doing it, but SMU is still the only Division I school that's ever had to deal with that death penalty. I just wanted to read a quote from John Lombardi, former president of Florida. This is what he said after the death penalty was announced. It's like what happened after World War II when we dropped the atomic bomb. The results were so catastrophic that now we'll do anything to avoid dropping another one. But since they haven't dropped another one, only SMU so far. I think that's a scandal in itself. That's it for me.
Guys, Jim McMahon, of course, made a great point right now for this particular scandal, SMU. Justin, of course, the 1919 White Sox. Guys, remember, we have judges in the back, including a Hall of Fame judge. For the first time ever, we got a Hall of Fame judge in the back. He will be voting as well. Let's kick it over now to Rick Barry. Let's remind the masses that Rick Barry will make a case for the college basketball shaving scandal as the biggest sports scandal of all time. Rick, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
In a 3, in a 2, and a U.
Well, for those of you who don't realize that basketball was not always the most popular sport in the world. We talked about baseball. Obviously, that was America's pastime. But back in the late 40s and the 50s, college basketball was finally starting to get a hold of things. And the epicenter of it all was basically back in New York City. And back then, they had the NCAA tournament, and they also had the NIT tournament. Most people don't realize that the NIT tournament was the more prestigious tournament of the two back in those days. It didn't have all of the teams participating like they do now in the NCAA tournament. And some of the teams back there were pretty darn good basketball teams. And City College of New York was one of the top programs in college basketball back in those days. And in 1950, they actually won the NCAA tournament and the NIT championship in the same year. So everything was really great. And then all of a sudden, New York District Attorney Frank Hogan arrested 7 men in January of 1951. And 3 of the players that were arrested were stars of the CCNY team from that 1950 championship team. And it was done through an undercover sting operation, which is a pretty big deal. But what sets this apart, I think, from what Jim was talking about, because there was a death penalty for one school, baseball, which of course was enormous because it was the World Series, but it's still just the World Series at that time, and they didn't even do it for all of the games. This thing blew up so big, I don't think anybody ever realized it. Many top players and teams got involved in this. CCNY, Manhattan College, NYU, Long Island University, Bradley out of the New York area, University of Toledo, and to a lot of people's chagrin, the University of Kentucky, one of the big basketball powers in college basketball, with Adolph Rupp being there. And in fact, I actually got to know some of the I knew some of the players, met them later on in life who played on a Kentucky team, Alex Groza and a few other ones. But 33 players were involved. Crime groups were involved. They fixed 86 games between 1947 and 1950. And what they did is that they got these players to collect money for what? Trying to keep it under the point spread so the gamblers could put big money on it so they can come out and make a ton of money, which obviously they did. What happened is that City College of New York was banned from Madison Square Garden. The NCAA tournament was moved away from New York City. The NCAA tournament championship game left the New York area for almost 50 years. And until 1996, I think, is when they finally came back to play someone. And even then, they were playing over in New Jersey. The NIT, again, was the big one. I remember being in college. The big thing for us back in the 60s was to play in the NIT tournament, not the NCAA tournament. And I got to play in that 2 different times. But just think of the ramifications. 7 teams, 33 players. I know one of the players that was there was the guy that played at LIU. His teammate happened to be my high school basketball coach, and he was telling me stories about a guy by the name of Sherman White, who was one of the top players in college basketball. And here's the interesting thing about this story. He was approached by somebody to do something. He went to his coach, and he told him about it. Then, a little later, foolish as he was, he actually accepted it and went and actually shaved some points to win some money. Now, of all those 33 guys that were there, this was kind of mind-blowing to me. Not one of them served a prison sentence. They were all suspended. They never arrested any of the mob guys that were involved. And Sherman White, the guy who reported to his coach at one time, was the only guy that actually had to serve time. And he served, I think it was like 1.5 years at Rikers Island. So when you talk about scandals and the impact that it had, this was so broad and far-reaching. And for 3 or 4 years, it was taking place before it was discovered. So to me, this is a much bigger deal as far as the enormity of it and the number of people and schools and players involved, as opposed to the Black Sox scandal and opposed to the death penalty for SMU.
Guys and gals, Rick Barry made his points. This has been round number 1 thus far. Remember, we have 2 more to go. The 2 that have the most amount of votes will advance to round 2 tonight, guys. And there's still 2 more topics coming up. So now we turn it over to you. But before we do, the judges will be voting in the back. Their points are worth 3 each. So, guys, you can start voting. Victor Santiago, your votes are worth 3. And, of course, Jaleesa, your votes are worth 3 as well. So, with that, let's bring in our judges. Joe Rositano, who do you think took this round and why?
My vote is going to go to Rick Barry, not only because of the name drop of Sherman White, but because of the enormity of how inexplicable this was, the amount of people involved, the shaving of points, and how far its reach went. My vote goes to Rick.
Eric Heron, please tally on the back. Thank you very much. We have 3 points now for Rick, guys. Remember, the judges' votes are worth 3. 3 points right now. Let's bring in Kate Hart. Who are you voting for and why?
My vote is going to Justin for this round. Rick, I appreciated how you went into the enormity of the scandal and how many people and teams it affected. Jim, I was a little lost during your argument, and I'm not exactly sure what the scandal was. You spoke a lot more to the consequences of the scandal, which is an important part, but I don't know what the basis of it was. Justin gave me all of the information of the history, exactly what the scandal was, and the consequences, so my vote is for Justin.
Very good, guys. We keep this thing moving right now, so it is 3-3. Let's bring in Mr. Collado.
My vote is going to go for Rick. He really emphasized the differences between his scandal and the Jim and Justin scandal. Not one of them was arrested. It was taking place for 3 or 4 years, and I love the personalization with Sherman White, so I'm going to go with Rick.
Okay, 6 points for Rick Barry. I'll have to think about this one. All of them were on point. Yes, absolutely. We'll bring up your votes, guys and gals, but also your comments as well. Very interesting indeed. Mindy Red, I'm learning a lot tonight. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate and entertain as well. Edutainment, why not? Randy Pritchard, see your votes. Guys, start voting in the comment section. Let's bring in Eric Heron. Who are you voting for and why?
Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back to the green room. I'm going to go with Jim McMahon on this round because, like he said, the death penalty for SMU was the atomic option, and it's never been done since. I think that speaks to it. I mean, we've seen point shaving here and now throughout basketball and baseball as well. So I'm going to go with the atomic option with Jim McMahon.
Eric Heron goes for Jim McMahon. Guys, we now have a 2-way tie between Justin and Jim McMahon. It is 6-3-3. Let's pull in all the voters, guys, in the comment section. We turn it over to you, Rick, Jim, Justin. The engine that makes this thing go will be commenting now. We have a vote from Julie voting for Rick Barry. Very good. So that is 7 points for Rick. Blake Cabanis, Rick Barry. That is another vote for Rick. That is 8. Keep voting, guys and gals. Let us know why, or simply vote. Chris Johns. Wow, this is so hard as all 3 men did so well, but my vote has to go to Rick for the amount of detail he had in his argument. Chris votes Rick. Stella votes Rick. So 2 more points for Rick. Okay. Bring up some more here. Chad says, I got to vote for Justin on this. He made some really good points on this topic. Well done. 1 more point for Justin. Scroll up here, guys. There are more votes. Karen says, Jim McMahon gets my vote. So vote for Mr. Jim McMahon. Okay, very good. Let's keep scrolling up here live and seeing exactly who you voted for. Guys, all 3 made incredible points. And this is just the opening topic. Topic number 1. Let's see what else we have here, guys. Coming down the pike, some more votes. Jeff Reeder says, my vote is for Jim. You can see their game faces on right now as they're looking intently. My vote goes for Jim. Okay. Bubba Brewer says, very good debate. But the baseball scandal was historical. I'm going with Justin. Okay. Did they make the better point, guys? Remember that. Who made the better point? All right. More votes coming in here. We have... This is Mike Rabbit. Haven't seen you yet. Voting for Jim McMahon. And guys, our WWE Hall of Famer in the back will be joining us and judging as well. He had some tech issues. He shall be back here momentarily, perhaps for the second topic. All right, guys. WWE White Rabbit votes for Jim. So another point for Jim McMahon. Very good. Okay. Mindy Foley, Justin had the best argument. He gets my vote. So let me read what we have now. It is 10 to 7 to 5. Rick Barry has 10. Jim McMahon has 7. Justin has 6. Justin is down by 1 after round number 1. Actually, it's tied up because Kelly White votes for Justin. So we are tied up. It is 10-7-7 after round 1. I'll wait about another moment or so before we continue the second topic, guys and gals. And remember, so much on the line. Mr. or Mrs. or Miss TKN for the person winning this tournament. A lot of great buzz. $13,000. Trip for 2 to Greece. And, of course, going through the amazing talent that we have here in this tournament. You will never see, and I can say that. I can say that, and I can guarantee it. You will never see such diverse talent, such established talent from all walks of life competing in one singular tournament for one objective. Okay. Davis votes for Mr. McMahon. Karen Calabretta votes for Justin. I got your vote. So 1 for Jim McMahon and 1 for Justin. All right. So right now we are still... No, Jim McMahon is up by 1 over Justin, that is. Julie votes for Rick Barry. There you go. Another vote for Rick. Pinocchio Joe says, tough to call this one. All were great. Justin gets my vote. Another vote for Justin. Very good, very good, very good. We're going to keep this thing moving, guys and gals. You guys are still voting live, so we don't want to miss any one of your votes whatsoever. We want to get all of them. Guys, I'm going to start counting down. I did get your vote. Mel Red, yes. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. After one round, it is Rick Barry 11, Jim McMahon 8, Justin 8. Jim, your thoughts?
I'm just glad I didn't get a goose egg.
You made some really good points, my friend.
These guys are tough. These guys are tough.
They definitely are, and so are you guys. Julie Red, your vote was counted, of course. Justin, your thoughts?
This is very exciting, very educational too, as every week. This is good. This is going to be tough right to the end, boys. Right to the end.
Well, guys, NBA Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, Rick Barry, you're in the lead. Your thoughts?
We all expressed our opinions about what it was, and the people had their votes. That's all it is. You have no control.
The viewers want to know, guys. The viewers want to know what we talk about off-screen all the time, how much you want this, the pride and the prize. And, of course, you're seeing how focused they all are. Rick Barry, Jim McMahon, and Justin. Guys, WWE Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, is one of our judges. I want to bring him in because he's not only a judge. This is also a man that's in round number 2 of this debate. He's also a friend. He's also a down-to-earth person. He's an intelligent human being. And for the first time, he's judging. He listened. He listened in the back to everybody debating. Let's welcome Gerald Briscoe. Gerald, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Avi, and what a great threesome you have there on your show tonight.
Thank you. Gerald, I got to tell you, all three were making some really cool points about sports scandals. What do you think about that?
Well, I tell you what, I got to be honest with you. I got to disqualify myself on this. I was involved in a great sports scandal, but nothing like they had. And my phone cut out, as you know, before Mr. Barry got his says over. But you know, the other two gentlemen were right on the money. The Black Sox scandal was good. I would have liked to heard a little bit more about what happened to these players. I know they were barred for life, but how did society treat them? How did the society react to them? You know, and then going to the SMU fiasco there, you know, that was a part of my time that I grew up a football fan, a major college football fan, being an Oklahoma State Cowboy myself, and you know, being familiar with Texas football and how those people are cheating them. But my phone went out just at the end of that, so I got to disqualify myself on this first round, but I'll intently be listening on these next 2 rounds.
I can't wait for it, my friend. Guys, Gerald already bring up some great points. Maybe perhaps the reaction, what happened to the players, might explain why it was such a controversy. Gerald bringing up a great point. And, of course, thank you, my friend. I'll put you backstage. He will be listening intently, guys, and voting. His points will be worth 3 as well in this second topic, which we're about to get into. So let's get it on, guys. Topic number 2, unclaimed glory. Greatest single-season teams that couldn't win the big one. Teams that shocked the world in the playoffs. In every aspect of life, whether it's business, school, or sports, a team can accomplish and achieve more than any individual. Rick Barry brought that up earlier. But what is it about the great teams that take them to the top? For some teams, the agony of defeat. Maybe it stings just a bit more. How about the disappointment of ending a championship caliber season short of a championship is tougher than the disappointment of ending a mediocre season, coming oh so close and yet so far. Maybe that stings even more than not being close at all. So, guys, we're going to switch things up right now for this particular round. Jim McMahon will go first in this particular round. Rick Barry will go second. And then Justin will go third. Guys, Jim McMahon will make a case for why the 1984 Dolphins were the greatest team to never win a Super Bowl. Rick Barry will make a case for why the 2007 Golden State Warriors upset of the Dallas Mavericks were the greatest team, guys and gals, of course, to not go far. What an upset that was. Rick will make a case. And Justin will make a case for why the 1906 Chicago Cubs, why the 1954 New York Yankees, I don't need your help, Phil. Thank you. He will make a case for why the 1954 New York Yankees were the greatest team to never win a World Series. And, of course, guys, you will be voting live. Listen, don't vote for the topic or the sport that suits you, that you're in favor of. Who made the better argument? That's the name of the game, guys and gals. So with that, Jim McMahon, are you ready to go?
Yes, sir. And by the way, I'm going to do the 90 49ers.
Okay, so Jim's going to do the 1990 49ers.
The 84 Dolphins. I was thinking about it. So
Not a problem, guys. 90 49ers, Jim McMahon will make a case for why the 1990 San Francisco 49ers were the greatest single-season team that could not win the big one. Jim, in a 3, in a 2.
Okay, I'm taking that team that the only one that didn't go to the Super Bowl and lose it. The other 2 teams that we were talking about actually lost in the Super Bowl. But the 49ers that year, they were 14-2. They handled their division pretty well. And actually, the division game against the Redskins, they played well. They beat them 28-10. But offensively, they were ranked 8th in the league that year. You know, they had great players: Montana, Rice, Taylor, Roger Craig, Rathman, Brent Jones, Wesley Walls on offense. Defensively, they were even better. They were ranked 2nd in the league in defense. Guys like Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley, Bill Romanowski, Matt Millen, Keena Turner, Michael Carter, Jim Burt. Excuse me. And offensively, they were ranked 2nd in the passing game. They were ranked 2nd with passes for and yards, touchdowns. Defensively, they ranked as good. They were actually second, and 3rd in all the categories defensively, and that's the reason they were that good. But you know, unfortunately, they were not able to win the game against the Redskins or the Giants, 13-15. I think they were going for a three-peat. It had never been done. I know they'd beaten us in 1988 in the championship game. That's the only time I'd ever lost to Joe Montana. And then in 1989, they had won it again. So they were on a roll. They were playing at home, and they got beat. They got beat by the New York Giants 13-15 in San Francisco with a team that was that good. George Seifert, the head coach, Mike Holmgren, one of my old coaches, was their offensive coordinator at the time. And they were a tough team to beat. And the NFL or the NFC at that time was pretty much dominant, you know, in the mid to late 80s. And I think they would have, you know, the Giants had them beaten. I think the Bills in the Super Bowl that year. I'm sure the Niners would have taken care of them as well. But I think that's the reason they're the biggest upset that compared to the other ones for me.
There you go, guys. Jim McMahon made a great case for the 1990 San Francisco 49ers, guys and gals, as the greatest single-season team that could not win the big one. Some of you concur. Jim is digging deep, according to Kelly White right there. Absolutely. Tough indeed. They could dominate anywhere. Keep commenting, guys and gals. And again, get your friends, get your foes. Everybody's watching the Green Room in the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament. Don't make any plans on Saturday night because these matchups are all live. And where else can you dictate the outcome? So, with that, Rick Barry's going to go next. Rick Barry's going to make a case for the 2007 Golden State Warriors upset of the Dallas Mavericks. the 8 seed versus the 1 seed. Rick, are you ready to go, my friend?
Ready?
In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Well, back in 2007, after getting to the finals in 2006 and coming up a little short, the Dallas Mavericks had a heck of a team. Dirk Nowitzki, who was a Hall of Fame player, the great basketball player, was the leader of that team. And they kind of dominated things during the regular season. In fact, they came very close to becoming the only non-Bulls team to ever win 70 games up until that point in NBA history. And so everybody felt that they were going to have an easy walk to get to the finals and come away with their first ever championship. Well, I was very proud of my team, the Golden State Warriors, that year. They didn't actually have a bunch of big name players. It wasn't Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and all the guys you hear about today. Back in 2007, the one main guy that they had was a guy by the name of Baron Davis, who was a heck of a point guard. And to Dallas's dismay, I think they took him a little lightly. And that's usually what happens in sports, is that if you're the big favorite, you in your heart, maybe the coach is telling you guys, we still have to go out there and play. We got to get it done. But the players do what I call the con job syndrome. They con themselves into thinking that they really, have to play hard to beat a team when they don't really down deep inside believe that team can beat them. Jim could probably relate to that. And I think that's what happened to Dallas in the first game. And so they lost 97-85 at home. And fortunately for them, they were able to come back and they won fairly convincingly in the next game, 112-99. But the Warriors had done what you have to try to do when you're playing in a playoff series, in a 7-game series, and you don't have home court advantage, is to try to win one game of those first 2 on the road. So the Warriors were able to pull that off. Then they go back to Oakland to play. And this was kind of a shocker. And actually in the first game, I have to admit that Steven Jackson, who played for the Warriors, did a heck of a job on Dirk Nowitzki, held Dirk Nowitzki to 14 points in that game to help him get that first victory. And then when they get back to Oakland, I don't know what the heck happened to Dallas, but they got their butts kicked, 109-91. They lost the basketball game. Jason Richardson, who was another outstanding player on the Warriors team, had 30 points in that game. And Baron Davis had another really good game. And all 5 players on the Warriors had double figures in that game. So they just played a much better basketball game. But for a team like Dallas to lose that badly by 18 points is not a good thing. So now they're trailing 2-1. So now the next game becomes obviously a critical game. And again, it was a close one. But the Warriors were able to pull it out with Baron Davis stepping up again. He seemed to be the hero. He came through when they needed him. He got 33 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Dirk Nowitzki played much better with 23 and 15, but it was still 103-99. And so now Dallas is in big trouble. So they're down 3-1. And in the NBA history, very few teams have ever, I think only one up until that point, had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit. And they're going back home and know that they have to win game number 5. Which they were able to do, but it was another close game, 118-112. Dirk had a heck of a game, 30 points and 12 rebounds. Baron Davis had another really good game. Jason Richardson had a good game, and Dallas did what they were supposed to do. They won. So now they force it back to a game 6, and now they have to find a way to win, obviously, on the road to keep the series alive. And this is the one that just shows how bad this was for a team as good as Dallas. Not only did they lose by 18 points in game number 3, they go to game number 6. And I was blown away. 111 for the Warriors, 86 points for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, please. I mean, when you're a team that good and you go on the road playing in a championship in a series in the playoffs, this is the first round, number 8 against number 1. Very rarely does the 8 team ever beat the number 1 team. But not only did they beat them, they embarrassed them in 2 games. Baron Davis again had another double-double with 6 assists as well. Dirk got held to only 8 points. And the embarrassing thing about this, I'm sure for Dirk, was that he had 2 absolutely horrendous offensive games in this 6-game series in the NBA playoffs. And the next week, he was given the MVP award for the NBA. So the MVP of the league has 2 horrible games, and his team gets upset in the first round of the playoffs, the number 1 seed. To me, pretty unbelievable.
Excellent points there, guys, by Rick Barry, of course. Jim McMahon as well. Guys and gals, this is, again, round number 1 of this incredible tournament, guys and gals. Of course, we have amazing competitors from all walks of life. Justin is going to now make his point for why the 1954 New York Yankees were the greatest team to never win a World Series. Justin, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rick and Jim can rebut Justin anytime they'd like and interrupt him if they want to. Simply raise up their index finger. Justin, in a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Thank you. Now, in sports, I'm sure my two esteemed opponents will agree. Any team can beat any team any day. That's just the way it is. Now, let's take a quick look at the NHL season that concluded a few weeks ago with the Vegas Golden Knights hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup. Over the course of the season, the Boston Bruins had the greatest season in the history of the NHL. They lost in the first round. So you never know. Now, going back to 1954 with the Yankees, go Bronx Bombers, I'm a Bronx boy, they had a stellar team. First of all, they were coached by Casey Stengel. They had great pitchers like Ralph Branca and Whitey Ford. They had the gloves. They had Phil Rizzuto at shortstop. They had Eddie Lopat. They had Mickey Mantle out there in center field. Mickey Mantle. Now, they had won 5 consecutive World Series going into 1954. It was a no-brainer. The Yankees going to take number 6. Yeah, okay. Didn't happen. They didn't even get to the World Series. The Cleveland Indians finished above them, and they went on to represent the American League in the World Series in 1954 against the National League New York Giants. Now, when you have a lineup like this, just stacked, they had bench players that could probably start for any other team. They had it all. They had 5 championships in a row. They were coasting during the season. They had 103 wins, which is not shabby, really good. Yet, the Cleveland Indians beat them out and went to the World Series. Now, when the season started, most of the journalists and pundits all agreed that in order for the Yankees to not best the Cleveland Indians, the Indians would have to have great talent, a lot of luck, crossed fingers, prayer every day. The planets had to be in the proper alignment for them to come up above the Yankees. Apparently, those planets lined up just fine for them. The Indians went on to the World Series, as I said, and the Yankees, despite having this incredible lineup, didn't make it. Everybody thought they would, 5 in a row. Didn't do it. They could not get to the World Series that year. By all intents and purposes, they should have. It was such a great disappointment, especially in New York. If you don't win when you're supposed to, it's not pretty. So the 1954 Yankees, despite having a lineup that was practically an all-star team in itself, they did not win the championship. Now, you have to remember, to this day, the Yankees are the winningest, greatest sports dynasty of all time. 27 World Series pennants flying around the house that Ruth built in the Bronx. This one they couldn't get. You know, the Yankees have more championships than the Montreal Canadiens have Stanley Cups. But 1954, despite everything in their favor, they just couldn't do it. Could not do it. So I would think that the 1954 Yankees are the biggest disappointment in sports. The best team that could not put on the championship ring. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Justin, guys and gals, has made his final point. Rick can hear us. I believe you can hear us, Rick. I know we can't see you. You're getting everything fixed up. That's fine. Rick can't hear us, guys, so Rick is still in the back. In the event that we will not be able to see Rick, he will still debate the final topic because I'm sure he can hear us, as he mentioned to me over the phone. No big deal. Guys and gals, right now, we turn it over to our judges. Their votes are worth 3 points each. And all of you can start voting as well. Who made the better argument and why? Let's start with Eric Heron. Eric, who do you vote for and why?
Gentlemen, I have got to go with Montana's 49ers being the team that should have won but didn't win. I agree with Mr. McMahon that was probably one of the all-time greatest defenses of all time. You put that product well put together, well thought out, sir. Congratulations. 3 points to you, sir.
Okay, Eric, please tally that in the back. 3 points, guys and gals. Right now, let me give you the score. The score as it stands is 11 for Rick Barry, 11 for Jim McMahon, and of course 8 for Justin. But we just started voting for this second round. And of course, one more topic and one more round coming up next. The final round is coming up next. Howard Collado, who are you voting for and why?
This was really tough. All three gentlemen gave amazing stats and analytics in terms of why all these teams did amazingly well during the regular season. But what really tipped me over was when Rick talked about this con job syndrome. And I thought that was really fascinating, the psychology as to why this particular team didn't do well. And then painting, the absurdity of being a number 18 defeating number 1 team, the way that was painted really made me want to go for Rick. So Rick gets my vote.
Rick Barry gets a vote from Howard Collado. Okay, we're going to tally this in the back. Let's bring in Joe Rositano. Who gets your vote and why?
My vote goes to Justin on this one. Not only was the mention of the stacked lineup, the statistics, their scores, and the account of their history, best team with the worst looking game, and how that applies towards their actual loss and the devastation. My vote goes to Justin.
Joe votes Justin. Kate Hart, who do you vote for and why?
My vote is going to Rick Barry this round. He provided me with the most details and the most coherent argument for someone who does not necessarily sports as intensely as the rest of you.
Very good. Okay, 3 more points, guys. Of course, Gerald Briscoe cannot see you, so he might have some tech issues as well tonight, but guess what? He'll pop in, and if he does pop in time for the third topic, he'll vote on that. Let's bring in all of you right now. You are the engine that makes this thing go. Are we excited, guys? Because guess what? After this round, that's it. One more left. One more. We'll decide whether or not Justin, Jim McMahon, or Rick Barry will receive the prize, for now at least, of advancing to round number 2. Whose chair will be empty? Who will be moving on? These are fierce competitors. This debate tournament, guys and gals, again, exclusive here on the network. 2 of them will advance. 1 will be eliminated. You have 2 incredible luminaries, Rick Barry and Jim McMahon. Justin holding his own tonight as well. Let's see how this thing goes. So, Blake votes for Rick Barry. Let's tally this. 1 vote for Rick Barry from our viewers. Julie Hall says, tough one. Great points made. A vote goes to Rick Barry. Rick Barry gets another vote. Chad, Rick has my vote on this round. He definitely had the strongest points and debate. Rick still in the lead. Fiona Matisse, thank you for joining us. New viewer, I am so indecisive, but my vote goes to Rick. Okay. Another point goes to Rick. Let's bring more up here if we can. Pinocchio Joe, Rick, with so many stats and details, he has my vote. Another point goes to Rick. Jeff Reederer, great points from Rick, but my vote is for Jim on this one. Jim McMahon gets another point. We are at 22, 12, 11. Rick Barry, 22. Jim McMahon, 12. Justin, 11. So Justin and Jim McMahon, are neck and neck right now. Julie Cabanis votes for Rick Barry. Okay. Chris Johns. I learned so much from all 3 men. My vote goes to Rick as he was on target with his details. Another point for Rick Barry. We have more points coming down the pike. I have not seen Victor Santiago's vote. So 3 points. He's one of our wild card voters. Karen Price says Rick Barry gets my vote. Mindy Red, I have to go. Mr. Barry on this one, very detailed. So another point for Rick Barry. Truly Julie says Rick Barry was very detailed with his topic. I vote for Rick. Another point for Rick. The Rail fan from Georgetown. I like that. I vote for Jim. Okay, Jim McMahon gets a vote there. All right, guys and gals. This is close. Between Justin and Jim McMahon. Quite close. Let's see if there are other votes coming down the pike. Victor Santiago. My vote goes to Rick for providing more detail. That's 3 points. Victor's one of our wild card voters in this. Very good. Randy Pritchard votes for Rick Barry. Another point there for Rick Barry. So right now, just to give you guys a tally, 31 to 13 to 11. I want to bring in Gerald Briscoe and see if he was able to listen to all three gentlemen. I believe he did. I'm not sure. Gerald, let's bring you in.
Sir, I did. I got all three. Man, what great. Justin, I'll start with Justin. Justin did a great job with the 54 Yankees. He described the lineup that they had, and what an all-star, what a Hall of Fame lineup that the New York Yankees had. And, their failure to come together as a team, and both Jim and Rick know playing together as a team is probably the most important ingredient to the chemistry of a championship team. So he made some great points, and Jim on the 49ers, what a star-studded cast that they had on their offense too. Their defense, as Jim pointed out, was just, man, their Hall of Fame defense. You go player to player. But the way Rick described his topic, the Warriors and the Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks. I would like to heard a little bit more about the Mavericks lineup. We heard Dirk name mentioned several times, but the Mavericks were loaded, and Davis, was really the only star that stepped up for the Warriors that year, and the Warriors won. And I could tell the passion that Rick had describing the Warriors there. So with three outstanding deals, I'm kind of tipping my hat towards Rick Barry on this round here.
Let's keep Mr. Briscoe on here, guys and gals, for a moment. Mr. Briscoe's in this tournament and had one hell of a matchup. He's one of the favorites to win this thing as well. Of course, Gerald Briscoe, guys and gals, can't see you right now, my friend. Not sure why I'll put you back here, but Gerald Briscoe in this tournament in round number 2 as he and Fred Ottman defeated Hauser Odalock. Guys, so that's 3 points for Rick Barry. Bubba Brewer, I did not count your vote because I am not done. I will scroll up and count your vote. No worries. So there is a vote for, I believe Randy Pritchard already voted. Let me scroll up here and see who I missed. Okay, guys and gals, we are live here. Davis Jubilee votes for Jim McMahon. Another vote for Jim McMahon. Bubba Brewer, I'm scrolling up here to see if I have your vote. Johnny McKinney voted for Rick Barry, so let's throw that in there as well. Bubba votes for Justin. So Justin gets a vote. Still hanging in there. Okay, very good, very good, very good. All right. Karen, I like the way Justin explained with his points. He was specific. I go with Justin. Justin gets another point, guys and gals. So he is down by 1. It's 35 for Rick Barry, 14 for Jim McMahon, 13 for Justin. Of course, these gentlemen are presenting amazing points. Give them a lot of credit. This is amazing stuff here, guys and gals. Live. Gil Canatella, you are being blocked, so thank you very much for joining us. That's what happens to very unprofessional sorts and very immature sorts. In the comment section, we will have none of that. Julie Red, I see your vote. I'm trying to pull this up over here. Everyone did do such a great job. Who are we voting for, guys and gals? We have another vote here live coming in. Andrew Red votes for Justin. So Justin gets another vote, guys and gals. This is tight. This is really tight. Remember, 2 advance and 1 will be eliminated, guys and gals. So with that, I'll count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. After 2 rounds, guys, Rick Barry is up 35. Jim McMahon and Justin are tied at 14, guys. 14. Incredible topics. One more to go. One more to go. What's going on through your mind right now, Justin? One more topic to go. This can make the difference. It will make the difference. Will you be eliminated? Will you go home? What are your thoughts?
I told you before, this is going to be a fight to the end, although Rick is kind of whooping both our asses over here.
All right, Justin, I don't see the confidence. You definitely need that heading into this last round. Jim McMahon, are you confident that you're going to advance and be one of the 2 that move on to round number 2 tonight?
Well, I'll probably have to get every single vote to catch up to Rick, but I just like to get one more than Justin. I'd be happy with that.
There you go. And Rick Barry, you are in the lead right now. Again, 35-14-14. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm just going to do what I was doing and tell my story the best that I possibly can, and I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Justin and Jim.
Guys, they are doing this live, and again, 10 Hall of Famers. We've got Oscar winners. We've got Grammy Award winners coming up, mystery guests, Everyone from every walk of life wants to participate in this tournament. It's not just about the $13,000 or the trip for 2 to Greece. It's about the pride and the prize. Of course, WWE Hall of Famer Gerald Briscoe, one of the greatest, joining us backstage as well as a judge. So the competition is heating up. Everyone's scouting each other right now. Gerald's in round 2 as well. Guys, this is amazing that right now already we've almost pretty soon breaking records for comments, if I'm not mistaken already. Let's keep it going, guys. We broke records for comments a couple of weeks ago. Let's keep this thing moving. Guys, our third and final topic, most unforgettable televised moments in history. Most unforgettable televised moments in history. Television, TV, the boob tube. It became available in crude experimental forms in the late 20s. But it would still be several years before the new technology was marketed to consumers. After World War II, an improved form of black and white TV broadcasting became popular in the US and Britain, and television sets became commonplace in homes, businesses, institutions. During the 50s, television was the primary medium for influencing public opinion. And in the mid-1960s, color broadcasting was introduced in the US and most other developed countries. Everyone remembers where they were during major events, whether it was the death of someone famous, a historic occasion, monumental moments. They all seem to stick in our head. Like every time my dad wanted me to watch a soccer game. Oh, get into that later. With the advent of television, it became easier than ever to capture these major stories while they happened. Without live TV, we may not have had Elvis or the Beatles. So with that, guys and gals, we're continuing rotating it out in terms of the order and the sequence here. Rick will go first. Justin will go second. Jim will go third. Rick Barry, guys and gals, will make a case for why the 1969 moon landing was the most unforgettable televised moment in history. Jim will make a case for Lee Harvey Oswald's assassination as the most unforgettable moment in TV history. And Justin will make the case for the Beatles' first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show as the most unforgettable televised moment in television history. Rick, are you ready to go, my friend?
Ready to go.
In a 3, in a 2, in a...
Well, as we all know, because we are both around in those days, the 60s are a very turbulent time for sure. The Cold War was going on. There was all kinds of stuff, racial tensions, things of that nature. The United States with the geopolitical BS that goes on. The Russians had beat us. They put Sputnik up there. They got Yuri Gagarin up in space and all. And President Kennedy at the time said, I think we need to go and get somebody, be the first one to go to the moon and bring him back. And unfortunately, he never, was alive to be able to see that. And Jim will be talking a little bit about that, to be able to see that momentous occasion. Amazingly, 600 million people, they say, watched the landing on the moon and the first steps by Neil Armstrong, right? A small step for man, a great leap for mankind, unbelievable words. Had the pleasure of getting to meet him later on in life, an incredible man. But that was pretty astounding. The United States spent 4% of their of the budget to get somebody to the moon. And boy, I know I have 10 minutes, and I'm not going to go through so many of the details, but what the United States people did to people, 400,000 people were employed to help get these men to the moon. The work that had to be done, computers were not what they were before. They created a computer, and the computer was done it was the Apollo guidance computer developed by MIT and their instrumentation lab. And there was nothing like this. It was the size of a suitcase, and most computers then, and I remember being involved with the computer world, and you would have the cards and they'd go in and you'd have a giant room full of all these machines doing it with these cards that you put in there and have to read the cards. They were able to create this computer the size of a suitcase to be able to get it onto the aircraft, on the spacecraft, to be able to get it up there and get these men to the moon and get it back. It was a monumental task. They did so much for so many areas of life by these people working. If you understood what happened, the parachutes that helped them when they were coming back into space, after they had to figure out how to get something to protect 25,000 BTUs or whatever it is when they came into space to not burn up when they were coming in, that all had to be done by hand. They trained women for weeks at a time, before they could even have a chance to go and fill in all of these hundreds of thousands of different little holes that they had to put special rosin into it. if you read about this, and I suggest that you do, because there's way too much for me to have to go and tell it now in the story, but it was an incredible accomplishment by all of these people working so hard to get this done. And to put someone there, I remember seeing it. I'm sure most of you remember where you were when that happened. But here's the thing I think that really sets it apart. In today's dollars, in case it was actually 26 billion was what they spent. That's $260 billion it would cost today to be able to do that. What it did, it provided advancements in mechanical, computerized stuff and engineering, simulation technology, biomedical studies, geophysics of planet formations. They learned all of this because of the trip to the moon. And the descendants of the Apollo guidance computer helped to remake how the world learns, how the world works, how people play, how communication became so incredible with our smartphones and all of the other things. This was really the start of it, folks. And how we socialize. If it weren't for these advancements, those things might not be what they are today, because they were 10 or more years ahead of their time by the work that they did. So I highly recommend that you read more about it, because the details are so amazing that I think you'll be blown away and realize just what a magnificent event this was, and what a tribute it was to American ingenuity and American manufacturing. And they stopped it after a few more moon landings, but they're talking about going about again. But that to me was one of the most amazing things. And what Jim's going to talk about was incredible too. But this one, for the impact it had on the future of the world, not just America, was nothing can compare to it.